Hey guys, Mr. King here. Gonna teach you guys a little bit of drawing some cool facial expressions. If you remember, we were talking about emotions and facial expressions for anybody right before this whole lockdown thing happened. We looked at the book Grumpy Monkey, which is a really fun picture book with really awesome illustrations. And so this is my little own version of Chimpanzee that I drew right here, who's the main character of Grumpy Monkey. And so I want to teach you guys how to draw a character like Chimpanzee. Now you can make major changes to him, and we will for ours. But I'm going to be drawing on my computer right here. But all I want you guys to do right now is pause the YouTube video here. Go get a paper and pencil, or you can get crayons or markers, whatever you want. But I really encourage you to have that pencil because you do have the eraser and the ability to make a mistake, and mistakes are part of the game, guys. And then also I want you, while you're paused, to look in the comments for the video and find the link to the YouTube video for Grumpy Monkey. I'd love for you guys to actually watch that video. It's the book being read by a pretty good narrator right there, and you guys can check it out. It's a lot of fun talking about what it is to be in kind of a bad mood. So anyways, we're going to make our Grumpy Monkey, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear this off for you guys, and we are going to start. So first off, let me just double check. Whoops, I made a little mistake right there. I don't want to hide all my layers. So just want to double check. Yep, I've got my pencil working properly. So what I'm going to do is, first off, for your character, we're going to start with the eyes, because there are three major parts of the face in which we're going to show our emotions: mouth, eyes, and in some ways, the nose. And I know that sounds really weird, but think about this. If you're really, really angry, you'd have those really flared nostrils, right? So let's start off with the eyes, because that's the main spot where we're going to see our emotions here. So first off, you're just going to draw two good circles. Now the thing I want to show you here is, you can see that I made a little mistake, and I've got those little bit of loops inside of the eyes right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an eraser, and I'm just going to clean those up a little bit, just like you guys might use your eraser with your pencil. And if you want to get a nice clean erase line like I can get on the computer right here, just don't press down super hard with your pencil. Okay, so there are my eyes. They're blank, they're boring. If I put some dots in the center, you might notice them kind of as like regular cartoon eyes. But what I want to do is I want to make my character look like they're, angry or sad or happy, or whichever way I want to do with it. Well, if we're talking about Grumpy Monkey, let's do a grumpy face. So first off, before you do your pupils or anything else, just make a line that comes down in the center, because when we are upset, we furrow our brows, meaning we bring our brows down. So for this, I could just do a big swooshing, little curve right here, or I could even do a V to the center. And what those are going to be is, that's going to be our eyebrows as one piece, all connected together. So after you do that, you can actually erase the very tops of your eyes if you'd like to. And if you want to as well, you can actually erase the connection between your eyebrows, because most people's eyebrows don't connect together. And if you want to, I think making some little changes here, like those kind of little wrinkles and furrows that happen in the eyebrows, it's where your skin kind of folds over sometimes when you're really upset. And if you wanted to, you could add some details with the eyebrows here and add a little bit of kind of like hairiness to them to make them look more like hairy eyebrows. And that's up to you. So I'm doing my character a little different than Chimpanzee right now, but that's kind of the point. Now the next part is the eyes. Well, when we are really angry and we're looking through our eyebrows, we tend to tilt our heads forward. And that's because we're trying to put our brow over our eyes and show people we're upset. If you ever think about that, like a kid who's getting really upset, get grumpy, your eyes come down. And that's really, I think, something that comes from being, an animal. We're trying to protect our eyes. We bring our eyebrows down to protect our eyes themselves. But in this case, the big thing that has to do with art is that means that when we draw our pupils and our irises here, we are going to make sure that we put them right up against our eyebrows. We're angry, we're looking through our eyebrows at whoever it is, and like grumpy right here. So you can color those in. I can use my computers to fill them in with black. And then you could do another ring if you want to make an iris. That's the coloring around your eye. And so I'll just select a color here. Let's do blue. That looks good. And I can fill those in too. So I've got blue eyes for my guy right there. So let me come back to my black, and now I'm going to fill in some of the other things. So if this is like a chimpanzee monkey, then all you're really going to want to do is make sure that in the lower space right down here, we're going to use an oval. So I'm going to draw that really lightly right here. And once we have our oval, that's the space in which we are going to put our mouth. So that oval is kind of like if you think about a chimpanzee or a monkey, they've got that area with no hair, it's kind of oval around their mouth. Well, all we have to do is make that kind of upset mouth right here, okay? So I made my little upset mouth. I could even have the shadow from the lip underneath it. All right. And then if you want to, you can erase some of the stuff. So I'm going to erase the very top of the oval between the eyes. And I'm going to erase the very edge of my mouth next to the oval so that it doesn't connect all the way to it. And I think you guys can already see we're getting a really good monkey face here. Now, in the illustrations of chimpanzee, a couple of things. His eyes aren't this big. He doesn't have hairy eyebrows. Also, his nose is not actually visible. In the illustrations for him, they just shadowed in where his nose would be because it kind of indents on a monkey's nose. A monkey's nose doesn't stick out like ours does with a big, long, kind of beak-like form. It actually sits back as kind of more just nostrils. So if you want to make a real monkey face, just adding those nostrils in. Remember I told you nostrils can really tell you if you're upset. You can do it right here. And if you want to make them look really mad, we'll make those nostrils bigger because when we get really upset, we breathe hard. When we breathe hard, we flare our nostrils. So if you see somebody whose nostrils that are really wide open, they might be really upset. You can even put some shadows above those if you want to. Oops. To kind of mark off the edge of those nostrils. And we're almost there. So now we're going to add whatever kind of cool little bits extra we want to. So the one thing about a monkey's face is around their eyes, there's usually a little bit of space where there's no fur. So I'm going to make that little loop on either side of his eyes. And then all I'm going to do is add my fur texture going around my head. So I'm just going to zigzag my line. And I'm going to let it be kind of curvy sometimes and more jagged others. And coming all the way around until I hit the eyebrows. Same thing over here. And so you could leave this flat on top, but I think it'd look a little better if I had the fur going all the way around right here. And then the last other thing right here is that we want to add those monkey ears. We're going to add those big curves on the outside. And that's going to be one ear. Make sure that you do, a little bit of detail inside of there. I'm going to add a little bit of shadow on the inside. And remember how I could just fill in the color with my computer? Well, I got to make sure that my lines are connected, so I'm going to do that real quick. I'm also going to put an ear on this side. It's not going to be perfect, but don't worry about it because, hey, drawings are meant for little imperfections, little problems, and that's okay. Oh, then more of a shadow over here too. Okay, cool. So I think I got a pretty awesome little monkey guy right here. He's not the same as chimpanzee. I've made some changes, and that is totally okay. I'm going to find a nice brown that I want for my fur. I'm going to fill some of that in. Oops, I forgot to close that one part up, which I need to do with my regular black brush. So if you remember, we just got to make sure that we, at least for what I'm working with here with this program, is that I close in this spot on his head. So what I can do is I actually sample this brown down here so I have it match up nicely with the one before. Cool. And I got a little spot right there to do. Whoops, zoom in over here. A little spot over here to fill in. Yeah, not looking too bad. And then I can just figure out maybe some kind of flesh tone color. So I'm going to come over here to this pinkish, a little more orangey. Boop. It's a little darker than I like, but that's okay. It'll work fine. Just for a little tutorial here. I'll darken it up to make it a little bit more of a shadowed area around his ears. Whoops, it's a little too light. Inside the ears. And then, let's clean up these edges right here and just do a little bit of color fill in these spaces. So the one thing is that for you guys, I know you don't have necessarily a computer program to do your drawing. So there's advantages and disadvantages. The advantage is that honestly, it's easier to draw on a piece of paper than it is on a computer screen because your pencil slides all around like it's on ice or something. But it takes me a lot less time to color stuff in. So for this video, it's kind of nice because then I can color things quickly and you guys don't have to wait for me forever. But I just don't want you to be upset that it takes a little longer to color physically with a marker. And I also think there's something to be said to have a piece of paper when you're all done that you can actually show your artwork on, where I just have a picture on a screen. So anyways, that is really it. So you can see that one's one version of it. This is the one's a lot closer to the illustration style of the author. So you can kind of play with that. The other big thing I want to let you guys know is that this guy, he's grumpy. He's kind of like bored grumpy. Look at those eyes, dead flat. Okay? The guy that I made just now, I mean, he is really grumpy. He's got his eyebrows coming down and in. So you can kind of play with that. If you watch that video of Grumpy Monkey, pay attention to the characters' faces. The author and illustrator, they do an amazing job with emotion in the story. And the illustrator does a great job on those faces. The characters that look surprised have surprised faces. Characters that are happy have really happy looking faces. Characters that are angry or troubled or confused, their faces look so good for that. So take a look, go ahead and copy some of those ideas. So if you see a face and you think like, oh man, those eyes right there, they look really surprised because the eyebrows are really high up and the eyes are little kind of dots and pupils because they're like, whoa, I'm really surprised. Or maybe that character looks really like confused. So they have one eyebrow up while the other one is down, kind of like the eyes I'm doing right here. Whoops, I did kind of a bad job of those eyes. And it's like, huh, what's going on? And so it's just conveyed through the eyebrows between these two. One of them is really surprised, and one of them is really kind of confused, and it's just the way you use the eyebrows there. Other big thing is like sometimes when you're surprised, if you do big wide pupils, it kind of looks different. It's like an awe-inspired surprise. So there's a lot of really cool ways you can do that, and cartoonists are really great with it. All I want you guys to do is focus on an emotion and try to draw a character around that. And if you want it to be a monkey, make it a monkey. If you want it to be something else, if you want to draw, a character that is just a big cherry, and he is just happy as can be. He's got that big happy face going on there. I told you guys it's a lot harder to draw on the screen, so my lines aren't perfect. He's got his eyebrows up. He's feeling pretty good. He's a little calm though because his eyelids are down just a little bit here, and you can totally do that. Okay, you can make your character whoever you want it to be, but I want you to think about facial expressions. Think about the mood that your character has and try to give them that feeling. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be frustrated, especially now that we can't go play with our friends. And I can't see you guys in my classroom. That's really frustrating for me. So it's okay to draw these kinds of emotions on your characters. And in fact, it can be pretty darn fun. So feel free. Anyways, I'm going to keep doodling here, and I'll be releasing some more videos. I'm sorry, guys. I've been really slow for my releases, but it'll be coming a lot faster, and I will see you soon. So keep drawing, make it awesome, work on emotions, work on faces, and I will talk to you before you know it. All right, guys. Have an awesome one. Bye.